Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? The way the Saints have sort of steadied over the last month, has that changed your outlook on Dennis Allen as the head coach of this team at all?
You know, it's a phenomenal question, and while it's different record-wise, here in Houston, just to give you a comparison, while they only got 2 wins, you started to hear whispers about, well, they're starting to play better, that if they were able to close out the season strong, it shifts the paradigms and shifts with recency bias. And I asked a pretty close insider last week about this very question, and I said, does recency matter to it? And he goes, sure, it matters. And a lot of times it gets people hired or fired, Matty. We know that depending on which way you flow with the wins and the losses. I can't be skewed by recency bias because I take into account what the other team's doing, what's it look like, every player on tape. Not that they're hard to win. The wins are hard to come by, but are they buying in? I want to know from players how they're buying in. And I do learn a lot, though, at the end of a season. If you're not going to make the playoffs, or even if you're hovering, you got your golf clubs in the trunk of your car, or you're checked out, I evaluate coaches and players equally as hard when things are going bad, even more so than when they're going good, because it's easy for anybody to go to work when things are going good. Yep. And sometimes you can take that for granted. But, recency comes into it, especially if they're quantum leaps, and you say, okay, we feel like we've turned a corner, and we're headed into turn 4, and it's shifting around. Yeah, I do believe that becomes part of the narrative and part of the conversation. But the other side for me is I'm a full body of work guy. Why weren't we like this in week 3? And is it just because it took a while to get in? Were the staff, did we look at all that? You got to judge the running back coach and the the linebacker coach, all these things as well as the head coach. So I look at the full body of work. We had talked about this, about Dennis. I need to know. I'm not worried about the fans sitting in the 7th row. I can't, Matt. As much as I respect them, or me and you on the media, we're not making those decisions. If you listen to us, we act more on emotion. If you're the front office and ownership, you have to go in and evaluate fairly. Where did we make the steps? Where's the leadership? And will it permeate into next year? Is it players, coaches, both? If you feel like you have maximized the building and this is what you're getting, a 500 type of team with that talent, then you're going to have to make a change, because that's not the ceiling that they expect in New Orleans. If you feel like he maximized it, then you got to make a change. If you say, well, he's getting closer, we have made some headway, then you have to evaluate. But I'm a full body of work guy. I don't think it's fair. Good, or if they go win 9 and lose 4 in a row, I'm not automatically firing the guy. And if they lose 8 in a row and win 5 in a row, I'm not sure they're over the hump. I'm still evaluating it hard, and I'm looking at all my options. What makes me better? I do it at every position, and I take an emotion out of it, and I do it with my head coach and every individual that's coaching each position and coordinators as well.
I think it's fair. Does quarterback will matter tremendously, and you and I have talked about it all season. Yeah. Andy Dalton is not the future. We know that. So there's this conversation about Derek Carr, right? He's clearly going to be out in Las Vegas. Would he make sense in New Orleans?
As a lifelong Raider fan, you can imagine, since he's come in the league, man, it's not a pound in the back. I've watched probably, if not every throw. I haven't missed many of them. Okay, even the ones where the game's over either way. So I've seen a lot. There are times I watch Derek Carr, and this is probably going to make the answer. I watch him and I say, you got a franchise guy. And then there are times for stretches over games, I'm like, what's going on here? And I know it changes in coaches. Something's missing. That's something. Now his numbers always, he puts up good numbers, and he seems to love to. He's passionate, loves to compete. I didn't like staying home. Whoever choice it was, if it was mutual, that bothers me that you're not in the building supporting. So is he butt hurt, or is it the coaching staff, or is it both? They just said stay home. That's for another conversation. Derek Carr is a good player, but I think there's a handful of Derek Carrs in the league. I think you can have flashes of it. I don't think as a starting quarterback, Derek Carr is going to put a Super Bowl ring on. But I
Okay.
do think he's a good player. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't think he's a franchise changer. I think he's a guy that you say he's going to hover. Man, sometimes he creeps up near the top 10 and put up numbers, and then there's sometimes he's like he let you down. Now, do I think he got curb stomped and the I confess he did it on him in Las Vegas? Oh, yeah. It wasn't just him. But you saw a little bit different energy. Now, that could be one game. Could they sustain it for next year with this quarterback or somebody else? So do I think he's an upgrade? I do. Do I think that there's better options if you could pull off a trade and or if you were in this drafting high? Yes, but you'll win more with Carr than you're going to win with Andy Dalton. But they're kind of similar. They've in their careers get you to the playoffs once in a while, even though Dalton got him there more. And then you're like, man, he's a good player. And then like, oh, we got to make a change. So that's probably your answer. It's the ability to consistently be inconsistent. Although I think he deserves more respect. I don't like the way it ended on either side, and it is going to end. But yeah. I don't think you're getting a program changer. And the things that bother me is that the offense seemed to move with one guy getting his first start too easy against the best defense on the planet. And so what's missing? Is there leadership missing from him? The Raiders got to look long and hard into it. And Derek Carr is not your franchise changing answer. And he's going to break your heart one week, and he's going to throw for 400 the next, and he'll put up numbers. But the numbers at times may be hollow. It's not going to equal a visit in February, I wouldn't think. But you'll be impressed with some of the things he does. That's just him. That is who he is.
If Carr is not the answer, and I think most people here, Sean, are wanting and agree, the Saints have to draft a quarterback. Like they just, have to. And that may become easier because of Sean Payton. The Saints reportedly won a first-round pick from a team for the rights to Sean Payton. What do you see?
They should.
For sure. But what is realistically out there? Like the Texans may move on from Lovie Smith, but they're not going to give up the number 1 overall pick for Sean Payton. So what is realistic?
But here's what I do. First, it's so funny you talk about Sean Payton. Listen, there's players that are that guy, right? A guy or that guy. Maybe that goes to Carr, too. He's not that guy. He's a guy. Mm-hmm. And with Sean Payton, the great point is, and you kind of answered it for me, when you're looking at, you got to draft a franchise changer, a program changer in college. We got quarterbacks that do it. Their hands on the ball 70 times a game. And there are coaches that are that. Sean Payton's the equivalent to your top 5 pick in this draft. He's going to be the most available. He's not a free agent, but the most available guy to get this offseason that can change your franchise with a couple of the right people. So, now, no, you're not changing the first pick, but let me throw this at you. You see, if I'm the Houston Texans, just like we don't think, Carr's the answer or Andy Dalton's the answer, maybe not Dennis Allen, I like Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith is not going to maximize the building. He's a good coach, but they're not going to win a Super Bowl with this staff. You got to clean house. So I said, offer Sean Payton $15 million, offer a high pick to the Saints, and go get him and allow him to choose the guy he wants, and go get Bryce Young. Once you look at Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, it's taken a year. They went from last place, first pick in the draft, to now they're going to more than likely win this division. So it can change with the right quarterback, and Bryce Young has got an it factor that the guys we've mentioned don't right now. And on the other side of it, we know who Sean Payton is. And you have to have a guy that if you're going to get a quarterback, knows how to bring out the best in him all the time, consistent, and make plays and make the common play look common and the uncommon play look common. Bryce Young's that. I said, pay him $12, $15 million, offer the Saints what you got to offer him, let him pick the quarterback, and let's go. You want to change your franchise, do it. So if I'm the Saints, if you're the Texans, well, you remember you got Cleveland's 10th or 11th pick. Is Sean Payton not a bigger guarantee than the 11th the third best edge rusher in the draft at the 11th pick? Why wouldn't you give him if that's what it's really going to take? If it's not going to take a second rounder but a first rounder, isn't Sean Payton in truth the equivalent of and going to bring the same value as a team's pick? So let's say you do that and you can draft C.J. Stroud, or because Stroud maybe now with his performance he may have jumped in. You may have to go higher to get him, but why not offer that and then let the Saints deal with what they're going to deal with after that? You're not going to get the first pick. I wouldn't trade that for Sean Payton, but I would consider Sean Payton for the for the 10th, 11th, 12th pick in this draft, I definitely would there.
What about the Cardinals?
I think that's the great thing position he's in. He's that guy who can call his shots. You know, who's to say Mike McCarthy? What if they get curb stomped in the first round?
Yeah, I was going to ask about Dallas.
What if the Dallas but Jerry's weird about that. Jerry likes to have a lot of control over Dave Campo, over Jason Garrett, maybe over Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn. Would he have the same control over Sean Payton? Doubtful. So, but if you want to win, Payton and with that offense, hell, they'll lead the league. I mean, they'll be better than they are now, and they've got a good offense. So, Arizona, the question for me is simple. Do you believe Kyler Murray can get you where you want to go? Because think about this, at least the talk about Kyler Murray. In that contract, the team didn't believe it. Does he prepare? Sean's a preparation fanatic, and he knows what he had in Drew Brees. Can he get that same commitment to being great, not good, off the field and in this film room that Drew Brees gave Sean Payton and that Sean Payton's going to expect from Kyler Murray? And they're locked in with Murray because they paid him. So with that in mind, I think the intrigue of Arizona, where it's at, you've got some good receivers, you've got some good players. The question is, it's going to come down, in my opinion, do you trust the ownership, and does that quarterback give you a chance to win quick? Sean Payton, I don't believe, is going to Carolina to work with different quarterbacks and hope that Sean Payton needs a guy he believes is a franchise changer because he knows he is. And whoever that is, pay to get him, give the Saints a first rounder, everybody wins. If I'm a team like the Texans, take the decision-making out of his hands. Offer him so much and so long that you just say, we got to go all in with him and the quarterback. And if you're the Saints, I would hold teams hostage. I'd make sure it's a first-round pick from somebody. I'd give him a coach away, especially when he'd still be there if he didn't leave the league.
I can't see the Saints allowing Peyton to go in the division. I couldn't see him going to Carolina, or some people mentioned Tampa to unite with Brady. Why would the Saints allow him to go within the division?
No, I would see Brady leaving Tampa quicker than I'd see Tampa allowing Sean Payton to be in Tampa. We'll see how this playoff goes for Brady, but I would if I'm doing that, then the price tag goes. If I'm dumb enough to trade him into the division, even though you may have to run into him at some point, playoffs or what have you, then it's going to be worse on you. I'm going to make sure I charge you more to get him because I'm not letting him to Carolina or Tampa, and I'm not sure Tampa's going to let Todd Bowles go after 1 year. A couple of these other teams, I think Cliff's job and Lovey's job, we already know Arizona's open, Carolina more than likely. Sean Payton's the guy that'll be able to determine, in truth, if he were to tell somebody that wanted their coach back, that were kind of in flux, and say, I want that job, I'm not so sure that a team that sits teetering wouldn't say, oh, okay, you're fired, let's go get Sean Payton. But Arizona's tempting. I think it would have been the Chargers all along had they not made the playoffs because of Herbert and San Diego or L.A., but I think Arizona's real, and I think that a couple teams will jump in that maybe we're not even talking about. We'll see how the firing goes, but I'm willing to give up a mid-first-round pick for Sean Payton. I think he's worth it.
He is Sean Salisbury on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Make sure you're following him. Great content, as always, and joins us here on Tuesdays during the football season. Sean, we always appreciate you, man. Again, Happy New Year. Thanks, as always, for the time. We'll do it next week.
My pleasure. Great to be on with you again, brother. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.